Hello to everyone joining our YouTube channel today. I'm absolutely delighted to have Benji Bennett join me here today, all the way from British Bay.
Yes.
Benji is a self-published children's author. He's been very, very successful. I actually have some of his books here beside me. So we have the beautiful Before You Sleep, and we have When You Were Born as well. And both these books not only have gone on to be bestsellers, but Benji's actually won awards for both the books. So I'm going to hand you over to Benji now just to give us an introduction to himself and a little bit about Adam's Cloud.
Great.
Hi,
Thank
Benji.
you very much. Hello, everybody. So Benji Bennett's my name, and it's nice to do this interview. This is my spiritual home in British Bay because my books are inspired by this very place. And they're inspired by my little boy, Adam, who 15 years ago now was running around down here. He was on the beach and running around the grass area here. And he got very sick one day. We brought him into hospital and he was diagnosed with an undiagnosed, at the time, a brain tumor. And he left us very, very quickly and suddenly within just a couple of days. So a very difficult time. And of course, we were hugely grief-stricken and, but what this whole experience led me, and this is what drives everything that I do, is to try and create happiness in families and to encourage families to spend more time with each other. And you'll hear a lot of people who have lost children, they will always say, spend more time with your children, because you just can't, have it if anything happens when they're gone. And it's not just to spend time in case something happens, it's about spending that time to create a bond and to reassure children and help them to grow to be confident and happy and reassured. So that's what I do. The books just happen to be something that delivers that message, but my message is to spend time, put family first, and everything else falls into place after that. And it's hard work, of course, all the time, but it's nice.
Yeah, I know, it's such a beautiful message. I think I was saying to you there, came across your story just there recently, and I was really blown away by it. And your books, as I said, they came today. I read them. They're absolutely beautiful. And watched some of your interviews as well, where you speak so beautifully about Adam and just that time and how difficult that would have been, along with your wife.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that there was sort of something inside you both where you wanted to kind of spread a message then of love and do it in his name.
Yeah. And that's it. And I mean, so many authors are inspired. Something happens in their life. It doesn't have to be grief. It can be anything, but you're usually inspired by something or a thought or an idea. And it's that passion really usually that wins through. I often talk about, I've done a number of kind of, self-publishing and interviews and so on. And it's not always about, I want to be an author just because I want to write books and become the next J.K. Rowling. It's about, I've got something that I'm really passionate about, that whether it's a fictional character or an idea or a magical land or, real life, if you're passionate about something and you write about it, it's that passion usually that I guess comes through to help you just rise above everything else, because that's really what you need. Because I don't think there is a magic formula. You can be a highly gifted writer, but you may not have a strong enough plot or inspiration to really capture the imagination of an audience. So yeah, if you're passionate about something you're writing about, usually you'll do a good job. That's only an opinion, of course, but it's kind of been my experience.
Yeah, no, you've done, like, your books are just so beautiful, and the illustration and the message, and it's sort of, when I was thinking about what age group they would be for, it seems like they're for all age groups, even for the adult themselves, to kind of tap into that place, of kind of connection, of telling your child how much you love them and reminding them and doing that kind of before they sleep. It's such a lovely way to end the day.
Yeah. I mean, if you even just hold up the book there again, it might, what really drives, just before you sleep one, it's my goal that every child goes to sleep looking like that. They've been told they're loved and they're reassured and they're happy. and they'll have happy dreams. And that's really just basically the you know, the message that's in there, and you tell them how much they're loved. And the reason why the parents love it is because it does create, because the book is very much, I love you much more than space and a day on the beach. And it's quite simple, but it's very highly emotive. And then there's a piece at the end of how much, you know, mum loves you because you grew in her tummy. So it creates an emotional energy to it that the parents really feel. A lot of people will tell me about it. And I've been over in the UK promoting, and you're, you know, a big 6'4" English guy, and he big muscles and tattoos and all the rest. And he looks at the book, and he's I don't know, he's 60 years of age or whatever he is, and he said, I'm going to buy this book for my 25-year-old son. And I mightn't be able to actually read it to him, but the fact of giving it to him knows that he knows I love him. So
yeah,
you know, love has no age limit.
you know,
A lot of people just like nice little, you know, illustrated books as well. So because the images tell half the story. So if I was to write that book in a novel and explain all of the stuff that's in the image, sure, I'd have a novel maybe this big because there's so much going on. But yeah, it's for all ages.
Yeah, you're never too old to be told that you're loved, I suppose. No. And that's lovely. So if we went back to that really difficult time, then I think it was 2007, and you lost Adam. At what stage then, I mean, you knew that you had this message. At what stage then did you, I suppose, think that you wanted to share that message, and how would you have gone about kind of putting the book together?
Yeah, well, I mean, the message was instant. I mean, Adam, we were still in the hospital. Adam had just left us, literally just left him. And of course, it was a very strange experience because it wasn't kind of a crazy madness of crying. It was a very kind of beautiful, surreal, calm experience because, you know, everything kind of happened slowly. It wasn't just he was gone. During that day, it built up to the last moment where, okay, he's gone now. And I always say this when I'm asked this question is I turned to Jackie and I said, Jackie, we get through this. We told Adam we loved him every day. And we just have to remind parents of the importance of spending time with your children, tell them you love them. Because I said, we have no regrets with Adam. We'll survive this. And that's what's really important. Now, at the time, there was no idea of a book. It was like, okay, how are we going to get this message across? And then I was thinking of doing a website of, you know, stuff to do during the day and places to go and things to do with kids and all that sort of stuff. But then I didn't have a huge amount of video of Adam. So I just started my first book, which wasn't a rhyming one and isn't published, was a camping adventure. That, you know, just 3 weeks prior to us losing Adam, we went on this lovely camping adventure down in British Bay Beach, and we spent the night there, and it was incredible. He was only 4 years of age, and he loved it. So that's when I started writing, and that was pretty much straight away. Within a couple of weeks, I just started writing. And then there was the Guess How Much I Love You book, you know, that was in our house. And I just wrote, you know, I love you much more than, you know, the sun, moon and stars. And then that became of, rather than for me, the rabbit telling the other rabbit how much they are loved, I wanted to create something where the child is directly being told that they are loved. So in the book, the child is actually represented through Adam's character. So the words are, I love you, when you're holding your child as you're reading. So it's a much more connected, emotional, and the children are being told that they are loved, rather than seeing, you know, the two characters in a book loving each other. It's more direct. So that's really how that happened. And I just wrote, you know, I wrote it in rhyme because one of Adam's favorite books was Dr. Seuss, and I have a photograph of him asleep at a Dr. Seuss book in his head, and obviously Julia Donaldson as well. We read all those books to them. So I went, look, rhyming is, and I enjoyed rhyming books. There's nothing worse when you've got a really good book and you're expecting the rhyme to come and then it doesn't, and you go, why didn't they just rhyme that one? So that was just me. So I decided to make it rhyming. And you know, funny enough, most of the lovely lines and a lot of it, and actually a lot of my real inspiration usually comes in those translucent moments when you're half asleep and half awake at some stage. You wake up, something's rattling through your brain, and I'd scribble it down. It's amazing how, you know, some of the rhyme, some of the words, where he goes comes, you know, in that subconscious at nighttime. And then I wake up the next morning and go, okay, what was it? I can't remember anything. Oh my God, I knew I had something brilliant. And then sometimes it'd come back and other times it wouldn't. So I started getting up and I'd get on my phone and I'd write it now. And Jackie'd be there. What the hell are you doing? No, don't, I'm writing. So, but most of it is obviously sitting at a desk and so on. But those moments are definitely, I always find them, they're the inspiration. That's Adam coming to say, Dad, this is what you need to put in. And I go, cool, that's it. So yeah, so that's kind of how I started, and with no expectation of wanting to be a writer. Never, you know, I worked in business and Vodafone, so it was one of those things of it just happened really. But I was passionate and I had something to say, and that's why I was talking about that earlier. I was passionate with something I was really wanted to get out there as much as I could.
Yeah, no, I mean, the passion definitely drove you anyway. You went on to be very successful across quite a number of books. Not just the two that I've shown. So how did so then if we were to kind of go from that point, you know, how did you think then about getting published? Did you ever think of going to publishers, or did you just think I'll do it myself? Like, what was your process there?
Yeah, it was always a case of, look, when I was doing this, I suppose the best way to describe publishing in hindsight now for me, and this is again only an opinion, it's like, you know, getting published is like winning, you know, 500 quid on a scratch card in the lottery. You kind of, you know, you took a chance, you bought a ticket, as in you write a book, you know, you won a few quid on it, but it's not going to change your life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's great. And I know a number of people who have written lovely books, and a publisher came along and did it. And by the time all of the expenses are done and the publicity or whatever, you know, that's it. And then you kind of go, right, are you doing another print run? They go, no, we've another author over here, or didn't sell as many as we wanted, or, you know, the big publishers weren't interested, or whatever it is. And then, you know, the odd one or two people win the £1 million lottery ticket. So, you know, and that's only my own view of it, because millions and millions and millions of books are being written, either self-published or published by small indie publishers or big publishers. And in particular, big publisher, they're not going to publish anybody if they don't think there's 4 or 5 books out of them. So if it's, you know, if it's a real one book on one subject and there's nowhere to go afterwards, well, a publisher isn't going to, you know, develop you as an author when you've only got one book. So I was thinking about publishing, and I went, okay, well, what does a publisher do? They're going to finance the production of your book, and they're going to sell it. That's what a publisher does. That's all they do. They're going to put the money up, and they're going to promote it and sell it. And I went, okay, I can go to the bank. I think I must have got the very, very last bank loan before the recession hit in 2007 and a half, or 2008 or whatever. So I took out a loan and I went, right, I can get my book illustrated, and I have enough money there to do a print run. And so that was that. Now, how are we going to sell it? Well, it's like selling marmalade or cheese or, I don't know, tea towels. It doesn't really matter. You've got to find your way to sell it. And, you know, how can you sell that? Well, you can go to the big wholesalers, you know. I got an introduction to Eason, and I just contacted Argosy, and I sent them in the books, and they went, okay, we'll take 100. And I went, yay, you know. Eason, I ended up having a meeting with them, and I showed that I was going to have, you know, 8 or 9 coming. So at that stage, I said, look, I'd already ideas for other books and Adam's adventure books and so on. So they, you know, the buyer there, he's not there anymore. He kind of went, okay, this guy has other stuff coming. So, and I showed him some of my illustrations. He showed my work, and he goes, right, this looks like it could go. So, but these guys are only buying, you know, 100 books, and they'll put them into the shops, and if they don't sell, you get them back.
Yeah.
So there's no, just because you're in there doesn't mean they're going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So then, we went around a couple of other shops and we said, would you take them? The other way then was online, obviously. So I just set up a very, very cheap website. I got somebody to build it for me, and I was able to do my e-commerce, and somebody would order a book and I'd, lick the envelope and ship it out. So we were doing a bit of that, and then we started doing direct selling. So things like Bloom and the National Ploughing Championships, like, started off with small ones, those little car boot summer fairs in a local field or whatever. And it's just a small little event. But I went to a couple of those and I sold some books at it, and there was a huge interest in it. So we built up until we took a big risk and spent, 1,200 euros to go to something in the RDS for 2 days or 3 days. And that's kind of going, that's 1,200 quid. That's a lot of books you've got to sell. But, by the time we started really doing those bigger ones, I had 4 books and I did a set. So rather than selling one book for a tenner, I sold a set of books for 30 euro. And that's the reason then why it's worth your while. Because if everybody was just giving me a tenner and you've got to pay for your fee to be there, it's not going to work. So that's really kind of what happened. I looked at publishing and I went, okay, I can sell them. I can finance it. And, it's Adam. I can't let somebody else decide how he's going to look or what he's going to do or how he's going to be sold. This is my son, Adam, here. So it was never really a case of that I'm going to get somebody else to publish it. I'm going to have to do this myself. And the other thing is I can lose the rights to Adam as well.
Yeah.
And, again, tongue in cheek, it's like, a children's author who on his first book, my publicist is probably going to be somebody fresh out of college who's got 50 other authors, and I'm probably not cool enough for them because they want the big red carpet event. So and then I've given away everything, and if they decide it didn't sell and they're not going to do a print run, well, then that's it. I've got to get them to a print run and buy my own books off them. So I said, look, I've got business experience. I got the loan, and I commissioned an illustrator, got a barcode on Nielsen.com, and I was told I was absolutely nuts at the time, and everybody was afraid to say it to me because I was obviously highly grieving, because I published the first book on Adam's first anniversary. So within a year of losing him, this book was here, and I printed 10,000 copies. The printer told me I was mad. My family didn't really know what to say because they didn't want to upset me or whatever. And it wasn't about making money. It wasn't selling thousands or millions of books. It was just about, that's, how it went. And I said, Adam will make this decision for me. It's 10,000 books. And because you need to get your costs down. Because if you're doing 1,000 books, it's very expensive and it becomes harder to recoup your cost. So yeah, that's what we did. Went to the cartoon saloon, spent money on it, a lot of money on it to make them the best I could. Got the designers on board to really design it up and put the foiling on the front, and that was it. So, and then all of a sudden my book was here, and I went 10,000 books, and I've no idea how I'm going to sell them. There was no pre-selling here the way the big publishers do it at these big events. It was just like, I've got all these books. So the next thing then was how am I going to sell them? So we went obviously through publicity. So I was very lucky. Obviously, luck is a relative word in this situation, but because of the background and the message and Adam, there was a good chance I was going to get some publicity out of it. So I did a Ryan Tuberty show, radio show on RTE, and I did TV3, the Ireland AM. And those two were just both of those interviews were just ones that just captured the imagination of so many people around the country. And all of a sudden, within 6 weeks, that 10,000 copies were gone. So,
wow.
I started out with, oh my God, this guy, he just wrote a book, he published himself, it's here, it's inspired by Adam, I had that message. I was still very raw with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the interviewers did a lovely job just drawing the story out. And just people started kind of talking about it. But with everything like publicity only lasts a certain amount of time, particularly with a kid's book, because you know, you're going to have a new mom in 3 weeks time who didn't hear that, who doesn't know anything about the books. And so publicity is a very much, you know, I've done the Late Late Show and I've done Sky News and all these. So publicity will give you a peak, and then it's gone. It's out. It's finished, and that's when advertising has to kick in to keep it up. But that's basically the start that we had. And then, you know, we went off and we did another big print run, and then they said, like, you're definitely mad. You've sold all the books you're ever going to sell. Just do another couple of hundreds and you'll be fine. So another 10,000. I said, no, I'll do it. And then they were sold soon enough. So we had a very, you know, strong start. And then we entered the Irish Book Awards as a self-published author, and to have even been nominated for that as a self-published author who nobody knew, with no PR, like there was no money. It was me. It was me and my wife ringing up and trying to get a bit of publicity. So to win that was pretty extraordinary. And that was basically, that was it. I was now an award-winning author, and it's, you know, something that you'll always have. And that doesn't mean you're going to sell loads more books. What I've learned over the last kind of 14 years that I've been doing this, it never stops and it keeps changing. In 1 minute you think you're going to take over the world, and the next minute you think you're going to have to get a job in McDonald's. So it's quite stressful, because this is it. This is my income. This is what I do. And you know, anytime, you know, you're not working, or if the weather's nice like it has been, you take a few days, the guilt just gets you. It's like, how do you expect to be, you know, earning money when you're sitting on the beach or something? But you've got to take your time out as well. So that's kind of that part of the story. And
such a great story, Benji. Oh my God.
But again, we've been lucky. We have been lucky. I mean, not everybody can get, you know, that media. But to be honest with you, the media is good, and as I said, you get a little spike and you think, great, right, you know, next thing is America, and then that fizzles out. But you know, really, it's where most of my sales come in. Why it's very difficult at the moment is that it is, all of those shows are off. Bloom is off, the Ploughing is off, Dublin Horse Show that I have a stand in, they're all still closed. So, and that would be a big piece of it's getting out there. And literally, I kind of compare it to the music industry. You got to get out and do your gigs to earn your money, because the old way of earning money in the music business, of, you know, selling 1 million records, there's no money necessarily in that. You've got to get out there and you've got to sell those tickets. That's basically what I do. And I keep trying to develop the website as much so as I can do a little bit less of that, and then spend more time on product development and new ideas and so on, and maybe another book. But so that's
like that's incredible to hear that. I didn't know, you know, I suppose you did start from the bottom. You know, there was no magic pure company behind you or anything. You know, it was you and your wife, but in a way it's a lovely story, because it feels like, you know, Adam was playing a part in it and maybe guiding you. And, you know, I think, you know, between the writing inspiration and maybe you just having gut feelings on things, you know, that, you know, that he was very much playing a part. And I think that's so lovely. But yeah,
we've always felt guided by it. We made some mistakes along the way. I mean, there's so many vultures out there who will tell you, you know, that, you know, oh, there was this French crowd and they said, oh, we're into 50 million schools over, English-speaking schools in France, and if you spend €800 on advertising, you know, we'll sell a load of books. And, you know, I said, great, I was delighted, and we sell a load. Of course, 800 quid later, and I never heard from her again. So what I kind of do is, well, I give you 800 quid's worth of books for free. And because books are a lot cheaper to give at a retail price, you know. So, you know, it's something like that. So there's a few little tricks that I've learned. A lot of people will kind of say, look, you want to advertise here, there. And I said, well, look, I tell you what, if we advertise, we put a code on, and if anybody uses the codes, you know, I'll give you 100% of the revenue out of that type of thing. And it's amazing how they go, no, that's not how we work. And I'm kind of going, well, if you think the advertising is going to work for me, you're going to make more money this way, and it reduces my exposure. So there's loads of stuff. So always be careful of what people are going to promise you. I've done it all. I've even had agents selling my books, wholesalers selling my books. I went over to the London Book Fair, and I teamed up with a US agency stroke distributor. So they had sales guys on the ground. They were in with all the big bookstores, and they had a distribution network that they outsourced as well. And the owner of that business wept when he read my book, and he wiped his eye, and he goes to his partner, he goes, right, let's get this out there. Where are we on it? You're coming over to the Chicago Book Fair. That's fine. Went over, nothing happened. The only books that I sold were the ones that I advertised through Facebook that people bought on Amazon, and they were getting all of the money and I wasn't. So yeah, so look, you know, and that's why one minute I was taking over the world there, and then the next minute I went, oh crap, you know, those books aren't selling, and you start stressing because you spend so much time and effort and money doing it.
I know.
But there's a lot of mistakes that you can make, that you've got to be really careful of what people are telling you, because they just want your money. And you know, you think if you give it to them, they're going to change your world, but my experience has been that they haven't. And it's tough.
It is tough. Yeah. No, that's obviously after 14 years, you definitely would have seen a good bit that's out there. Sorry, Benji.
Yeah, no, it's tough. They look for everything, and I was going to say, like, you know, at least the one upside of a publisher is that, you know, they will do all of that and they will try sell it. You don't have to worry about that. But again, you know, publishers are just trying to hope that they might win their own lottery ticket as well. So you getting published is you've won your little lottery ticket, but they're hoping that book is going to be their big lottery ticket. So publishers are just, you know, it's shooting, you know, just trying to keep throwing it out there and see, is one of them the Willy Wonka golden ticket into the chocolate factory? And that's and that's just my view of things. That doesn't mean that's what it is, but that's my sense of stuff, without really talking to that many publishers and so on. But,
but you also when you're saying there about people promising you things, even I find that with the media, you know, you have to be careful. Just because they say, oh yeah, we'll do an interview, or we'll, you know, doesn't mean, you know, it can be pulled last minute.
Oh yeah.
So you have to.
I had that experience with a very. I won't say who they are because I don't want to pay them. But it was a big chat show. Yeah, we'd love to have you on. And I kind of did an extra bit of a print run, and this is huge and all the rest. We have extra books, and then, you know, a couple of weeks later they're going, sorry, we're not having you on. Now, I wrote back to them, I went, you're going to bankrupt me here. You know, you said I was going to be on. I've just printed an extra because this is going to create. So I kind of forced my way onto that show, and I got it in the end. But it's a bit scary. The media, you know, as everybody knows, it's a fickle business. And, you know, ask any musician or actor or anybody, one minute they're loved and everyone is talking about them, and the next minute everybody hates them. Unless you're part of the royal family, they'll always write about those guys and have interviews. You know?
And has there ever been any discussion about your books going into cartoons or a movie or anything on the screen? Yeah,
so I've often over the years kind of been slightly disappointed that nobody has ever approached me about that, because that's you know, it's always on my radar. But I'm in discussions with the producer at the moment, and we work together on it. We're going to kind of set up an independent company, and he's got a lot of experience in this. So, you know, again, it's not black magic. A cartoon is, you know, here's our idea, here's our stories. We're going to have, you know, 20 or, you know, 15-minute episodes. This is what they're going to do. And then it's like publishing a book. You've got to find the animators and you've got to finance it. Except it's much more expensive to finance a really good animation than a book, and then you got to go and sell it. So it's the same thing. So
Same process,
I've taken that under my own wing to see, you know, what comes out of it. And again, it's not about, you know, making millions and selling it out, because you can sell off the rights to it. But again, because it's Adam, it's a bit of a different one. I just want to pay me bills and you know, have fun doing this. And if loads of money comes with it, great. But thankfully at the moment, it's giving us our living and paying our mortgage and putting food on the table and stuff. So yeah, we're happy with our lot. And it's like everybody else, it's hard work. But because I work for myself, there's times that you can say, no, I'm taking a day off today. And that is a bit of the beauty of it, you know. Or, you know, oh, we just got a nice order for a few £100 or whatever it is. That's great. You can kind of relax. And so it's nice. But then there's, you know, times that you don't get the orders in, you start stressing and worrying.
Of course. Yeah. And sure, like the last year or two, as you said, was particularly difficult. Just with places being closed, and if that's where most of your sales were coming from, then, you know, because online it is difficult, you know, it is difficult. It can be difficult.
It's funny you say that, because, you know, online has usually been around 30% of what I do. Most of it is just out there grafting most of the time. But last year, when everything was shut, a lot of online businesses blew up. So I blew up last year. Now I spent a huge amount of advertising, so it wasn't hugely profitable. But we did loads of revenue, and I had my best ever, you know, online year by 4 times.
Brilliant.
And then, you know, January and February and March, they were going great. I'm like, Jesus, is this it? Like, have I cracked online? And then all of a sudden, the advertising stopped performing, and you know, we were nearly spending more in advertising than we were getting in, so I had to reduce the advertising. And then I'm kind of back to pre-pandemic levels, and a lot of people are seeing that. People put off a lot of spend on certain things. So they're going out buying all the other stuff, not the little books. They're buying, I don't know, new garden furniture or whatever it is. Or so, so I've heard a lot of people have had that experience. So now the online is down and I'm still shut, and I don't know when I'm going to open. So thankfully, you know, we're good at keeping costs down. They always have been. And I don't have, you know, 50 staff or anything like that to be minded. So it's just so we get through it.
Yeah. And where, Benji, where would you do most of your advertising then? Where would that cost be?
Traditionally, it's been Facebook. I've never advertised in like kind of magazines or anything. I did a bus thing actually once, and that was more, I just wanted Adam on the side of a bus. There was no business case. He was like, I want Adam driving around, Adam's amazing adventures, and he was climbing up the side of a bus. And that was a very much it was a decision. It was not a business decision at all. Because it wasn't part of any overall branding or launch. It was just put on this. But Facebook you know, has kind of worked, and it's a pain in the ass. I hate doing it, and it's hard, and you have to keep on it all the time and keep changing, and funnels and remarketing, and I hate it. There's lots of things I can do, but that nitty gritty stuff is really, really hard. But it's stuff that needed to be done. But and the way
sorry, Benji.
I was going to say the way I've done it is, you know, if I spend 50 quid and I get some good sales out of it, then I go, right, how does 60 quid go and how does 70 quid go? So I keep bumping it up that way. And if I'm getting enough of a return on that spend that I'm kind of making some money on it, I go, cool, you know, make it £1 million. Not that I have, but that's the idea. And then when it's not working, I bring it down because I'm not making any profit on it. So, but definitely now it's SEO is really, I've neglected that. That's a really important part of everything. And that's something that I've got to start working on. So you can't just do one thing. But for the last 5 years, I said, right, I'm going to just get Facebook sorted and out of the way, and then I move on to the SEO. And then another year goes by. I said, right, I know what I'm doing this year. Got Facebook sorted and on to SEO, and that keeps on going. So this year, I'm just saying, right, I've got to get my SEO, my keywords, and Google search and all that sort of stuff going.
Because well, if it makes you feel any better, your ad keeps coming up on my Facebook and Instagram. So
Right. So I keep advertising to the same people then. Is that it?
yeah,
Right.
so I've seen it quite a few times,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is actually how I came across you. So
All right. Well, that's
yeah, so
good.
that's
That's
good.
good. At least it's doing something. But yeah, you know, it's yeah, you see, again with algorithms, you know, it's sometimes you look and they talk about frequency in ads, and you go, right, is that ad been showed to the same person too many times? But
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
look, at this time of the year, it's always a bit funny anyway. Coming up to Christmas, if it's there all the time, they go, there's that ad again, I must check it out, and then it's time to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Facebook is. Facebook, I was saying, I don't know if we were recorded at the time, but you know, I always, you know, those movies where somebody comes along and goes, do you want to buy a nice watch? And he opens up and he's got all these lovely watches on him. That's what Facebook is, because they keep asking people if they want to buy a watch until somebody goes, yeah, actually, my watch just broke. Give us one. Whereas as Google search and SEO is that you know, I want to buy a kid's book.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's really clever ways of getting around getting yourself up there on that free organic where you come first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm working through all that at the moment now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So almost on the SEO, the decision is made and then they just need to choose.
Yeah.
Where with Facebook, it's like they're selling you stuff that you might not want.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want it now. I mean,
Don't
look,
want it
my
now,
baby
yeah.
was born because, you know, I'm targeting new moms and they're going,
Yeah.
you know, I'm looking for Pampers or I don't know, whatever it is. So yeah, you've got to be careful on that. One of the things that the best way for me is my understanding of SEO is that, so if you're addressing a need, so you know, you could say, right, put an ad out for children's books, right? And then I'm competing against Amazon, Bookstation, all of the big book sellers, Book Depository, you know, all the Julia Donaldson books. So they're all going to be bidding on those keywords. So I'm not going to be able to compete there. I might have to spend 15 quid before they're going to show my one ahead, because they've loads of different criteria where they decide how much the bidding is. So then you think of, okay, you know, I want to target parents who are interested in kids' books or interested in their kids. So the best example, and I've only got one and I need to figure out another 15 more of these, but so my book there, it's Do It When You Were Born. So a lot of parents, and you hear these conversations, oh, how's little Johnny getting on with the birth of the new baby? Are they connecting? And so a lot of people will be, how do I make sure my older child bonds and accepts this new baby and everybody's happy, rather than, you know, he's taking up my space. So I was thinking about this, and again, I was inspired by some chats that I've had over the years. So When You Were Born is a story that when you read it to little Johnny or little Mary, you're saying to them, and the book is saying, when you were being born, you were deciding who your parents were going to be. And you could have picked any of the parents. Now, all the other parents you could have picked are represented by animals, but it's all family. It's a family of dolphins and a family of little piggies and so on. But when you were born, you chose us, and you made all of our wishes come true. And that's why we love you more than anything. So it's a huge amount of reassurance for them that they picked, you know, that child picked its parents and made everybody happy. So they know that they love, they know that they're special. And then you put the book down, and then the idea of this blog that I still have to write is, well, when a new baby is not only choosing its mom and dad, it's choosing its big brother and sister. That means this new baby is choosing you because they know that you're going to love it more than anything and care for it. So that closes that loop of selling my book to give a child reassurance.
Yeah.
And when the baby comes, there's going to be that connection there and everybody's happy. And then what you've got to do is, within that, you've got to stitch in every single kind of keyword or phrase that people might search in relation to this topic. And then when somebody types in one of those key searches, that article appears and there's an ad for the book. So that is my understanding of how this really works. And then if I want to, then I can actually then bid for explaining, a new baby to a young child. Well, then I come up on top as an ad. And that's a really cheap ad because I'm very much high up on the ranking there. So my ad becomes very cheap.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have this right, but that's my current thinking, and that's how I'm thinking of doing it. And I let you know in 10 years' time if that works. There'll probably be another 10 years trying to figure that out. But so that's a roundabout way of selling kids books without actually spending money on that keyword kids book. It's trying to identify something that will get people interested.
It's definitely a different angle, and it's a very good one. Yeah.
Well, hopefully
it's almost like you're providing free content. And then on the back of them getting to your free content, you have your book there. And if they like your content, they like your product. So that's really clever. So if you were to go back, I suppose, to the 14 years, and if you were to think about some of the people that might be watching this, what kind of advice would you give those that are kind of starting out, or maybe, like me, on their first book? And it is tough. It is tough to get yourself out there. You've touched on some of it, but what kind of one or two pieces of advice would you have for, I suppose, not just self-published authors, but authors in the early stage?
I suppose it's a hard one, and I can only go on some of the thoughts that I had when I started. It was never going to be, I'm writing this book because I want to make €1 million or have a career in it. A lot of musicians would be the same. You're doing because you want to do it. So if you're doing it, do it because you've got something to say and you're passionate about, rather than I want to go and sell 1 million books and be a worldwide J.K. Rowling, because, the chances of that happening are, first of all, you've got to win your own lottery ticket, and then the publisher is going to have to win that, another lottery ticket on top to make this huge. So that's the first thing. Right? Don't expect anything huge out of it. If you got a nice holiday abroad, you're probably doing well. And if you make $100 million out of it, you're one of the lucky ones. That's the first thing. On the publishing or self-publishing, if there's a lot of work, I work in this all of the time. It's a full-time job now. I did have a business background. I did have a business degree. I worked in Vodafone in marketing. So I had that advantage. So I kind of had a bit of an idea of what to do. That doesn't mean that most people don't know this anyway, because with online and social media, a lot, you can do loads of stuff on that. So send them out to the publishers if that's what you want to do. If you think you want to have a go at it yourself, go for it, but make sure that you kind of have a bit of an idea of how you're going to sell it. I didn't, but I had the business knowledge to know how I would do, if you get me. So they're really the two big ones. And always be ready for that roller coaster. I've won a book award. I've got distributors. I've got the wholesalers on board. I've got agents on board, and they haven't delivered. So it's again, it's a tough road that way, because it really is a huge roller coaster. And the amount of times, you put in a huge amount of work and stuff, and you go, that didn't work. Right back to the beginning and start again. And that's probably one of the hard things. And I've never seen anybody interviewed on TV, be it a musician or an author or somebody in business, who doesn't always say the amount of knocks and the amount of kicks you get, and you just keep on going and you eventually get there. So that's what that is. The shows, the direct ones, they're always a good way of doing things. They can be expensive. They're not for everybody. And kind of have a plan of 3 or 4 books if you're going to do it seriously. If you do one book, you've got to have another couple in your pocket, and you're always developing and being creative. So that's
great, Benji.
Advice. I mean, there's a million other things I could say, but try not to stress too much either.
Yeah.
I
No,
do enough stressing for everybody, so you don't have to worry. I do it all for you. The
yeah.
stress and the worrying.
No, they're great pointers.
Yeah. And don't expect, you, as I said, you can be on the Late Late Show, and it can send you off. And sometimes something like that can set people off, and they can have a career forever, like Big Brother or one of these, where all of a sudden you're nothing and you get this opportunity, or something happens on the show and it goes viral all over the world, and you can
Yeah.
have those quirky type things. But usually, you're on, then the next person is on, and people
Yeah.
are getting about you quick enough. So don't think that they're great to do and they're great fun. It really is, use your social media to decide, and I'm only learning this now, decide what your target audience are interested in, and find that back gate in. So don't just say a kid's book or a novel book or a cooking book. Find another way through of finding other things that they're interested in, that they're asking questions about, that you have the answer for. But that's what I've been told over the years. That's on other people's advice there. So, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So,
Yeah,
anybody,
well, you're making progress
yeah,
from your example earlier on, and it seems like you're always kind of thinking of new ideas and new
yeah,
angles, and
yeah.
I mean that's half the battle sometimes.
Yeah, we're on product now as well. So we're trying to develop the brand more than the books. So again, because I have a message, and it's love and family first. And the strapline we have is bringing families closer. That's what I try to do. It's to bring that connection between the parent and the child together. So, I could put my brand on a pair of Wellington boots, because that's all about going for a walk, a family walk together. So here's the Adams Cloud love outfit, or adventure outfit. You've got Wellington boots and a rain mat, and I keep talking about this and we never do it, because you're always busy doing something else. So or baby grows, and all pajamas, or there's loads of stuff that we can do. So that's something that I want to start developing, that it becomes not just about the books, but it becomes a brand and products that create those magical moments with families. So I think you lost me there. Can you still?
Yeah, no, I
I'm
think
frozen on my own computer here. So just,
no,
I'm back.
you're back.
There we go. So yeah, I hope that kind of makes a bit of sense
No, it does. It does. Yeah, no, it is. It's like, I could see, your message is a brand, it's part of a wider thing. And then the books are part of that. But your message of family and love, which has come from, Adam, Adam and the relationship you had. It's more than just books, and it can branch out, but it is also about kind of as well, not if it's just you and your wife, Jackie, you don't want to overstretch either.
Yeah.
And
we didn't want to commercialize things too much. I mean, I could have gone in and sold half my business in Dragon's Den for 50 quid or something, and had those guys working, and then I'm working for somebody else. Because of how it happened, I can't work for anybody else. I've got to work on my agenda, on my day. Ask me to be in at 9 a.m. to 5 o'clock every day. It just doesn't work, because that's not how my life is anymore. I could work at 12 o'clock at night. I'll work on Saturday or Sunday. I might work at 6 in the morning, or I mightn't work a day at all. That. So we're very lucky in that we can really fit life with work, and we balance those two things.
And with your family. Yeah. Well, I suppose you're living what you write about in terms of your family, and having time for them, and having the flexibility around that. And so just, I suppose we'll finish up. It's been such a lovely chat. I can't believe we've been chatting for so
I know
long.
It's always that way.
And you're enjoying your lovely holiday down there, but you might just last question I have is, you've 3 beautiful kids, and you might just tell me their names and their ages and what they're doing. I'd love to just finish on that.
So Harry is Adam's oldest brother. He was 6.5 when we lost Adam, and he's absolutely incredible. We are so proud of him. He's just finished second year commerce. He got a first in his exams. Brilliant. And he's got a big internship next year. So we're kind of hoping that, I always joke with him, he's my best chance of me being a millionaire, because he's going in that right direction. And then we have Robbie. He is going to be 15 next month, and he was 1 when Adam died. He is me. He's a dreamer. He's happy. He is going to be doing his junior cert next year. Mad into music. He loves his music, does a lot of production work. So he may go into the music industry, and I keep telling him how hard that is and how tough it is. So get a good education, Robbie, and all the rest. But he's amazing and loves his golf. And then we have our gorgeous Molly. She is just gone 13, and she's going into first year next year. And she is hugely empathetic. She cleans her house all the time. She's just totally calm and having a great time. So the two younger ones spend their time running around here in British Bay, so they're having a great summer. And talk about bringing families closer. We hardly ever see them because they're out swimming with their friends or playing tennis or golf or something like that. And Steph and Jackie have made a lot of sacrifices to have this, because it is somewhere that for years and years and years, like, we never went away. It was always this was it. And we've to pay for down here, so for a long time we never went outside the door. And for meals or whatever, and it was always, things are very, very tight. But we always knew that if things got tight, we'd sell our house and we'd come down here. So that's always our get out clause, is that if things get really tough and shows don't open, I'll sell my house. Because we lived here for during the last lockdown from January.
Okay, yeah. I know, it's such a stunning beach down there.
Yeah. Oh, it's Adam's spiritual home. We love it. Yeah. We're always very happy here. We can see the sea. And
do you have a bench for Adam down there?
Yeah.
So where is that?
It's just on the north head of British Bay. So we're in a place called Potter's Point. And so if you're on British Bay and the sea is in front of you and you turn left, so you're walking with the sea on your right hand side, and you go to the very, very end of the beach, there's a little stream there just on the head. There's Adam's bench there. And sure, we're always over there doing our thing. So sitting there and enjoying the view. It's lovely. It's very
perfect.
special.
Well, go and enjoy it more. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing all that amazing advice. I know it'll help so many authors, and I look forward to seeing what's next for you, and keep in touch.
Me too. And if anybody has any ideas what's next for me, I'm happy to hear, or if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So
thanks so much, Benji. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Lovely, and good luck to everybody out there. It's a great word if you go for it, and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, we sure will.
All right. Thanks, you very much.
Benji.